I read a lot of books, like a lot of books. This year, I decided to cut my reading goal in half. And 8 months into the year, I'm 7 books behind. Reading is the thing I love doing most. It's what this whole channel is about. So why on earth would I set a goal to read less? And more importantly, why might you think it's a good thing to be behind on your reading goal? Let's dive into it. I want to start by saying if you read 1 book a year or 250, if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. I want you to keep doing that. I'm not here to tell you that there is a right number of books to read. This is an experiment that I did for myself because my goals were starting to feel off. And that's where I want to start. I want to talk about goals. You love a SMART goal, I love a SMART goal. Goals are a reflection of our priorities. And as we grow and change as individuals, our priorities are going to grow and change as well. So our goals also have to shift. Otherwise, they can start working against us. And for me, I was noticing this happen. I was noticing that my goals weren't matching up with what my priorities were. I was reading less and less and less. I set my goal at 100 books last year, which was 50 books less than the year before, which was 25 books less than the year before that. This reading goal that I had always intentionally set low in order for it to be easy for me to hit was suddenly really, really hard. I knew then that I needed to drop my goal and start reevaluating my priorities to make this work for me. And this is actually something that I used to teach in my day job. I used to run budgeting workshops. And the one thing that we would tell people is if you keep missing your budget over and over again, if you can't stick to it, it means that something's misaligned there. Either your priorities aren't what you thought that they were, or your budget doesn't reflect your priorities. So let's talk priorities for a second. Here's my question for you. Why do you read? Tell me in the comments. Because I'm assuming if you're here, you have at least a passing interest in books. And just like we budget our money, we also have to budget our time because time is a limited resource. And reading takes a lot of time. So I want to know, why is reading so important to you that you put your limited resource of your time towards it? Personally, I read books for a lot of different reasons. I read because it's a great source of entertainment, it's relaxing, it gives me a sense of accomplishment. But more than any of that, I read to understand other people and to understand myself. I want to put myself in other people's shoes so that I can understand their thoughts and feelings and actions so that I can be a better person in my day-to-day life. I think that's what makes books so magical. I get to spend time being in someone else's head, hearing their thoughts and feeling their feelings. And that helps me to grow as a human so that I can understand other people and be a better person. I want to make the most positive impact I can in the world. That's my number one priority right now. But it's always been a big priority of mine. So what's changed? Why am I reading a third of what I used to? Well, let's rewind to 3 years ago when I first started this channel. I was fresh out of college in my first job in a new city. I was single, I was trying to make friends, and the 9-to-5 schedule was really a shock to my system. I really wanted and needed to escape into books after work because I felt like I suddenly had so much less free time than I ever had before. There wasn't time to go for a hike after work, but there was time to read Wild by Cheryl Strait and hear about her experience on the Pacific Crest Trail. I was also really lonely. I read romance to imagine this great love, and I read nonfiction to make sure that I was ready when that great love came along. I was also committed to bettering myself through self-help because for the first time in years, I was really depressed and I felt like I had no reason to be. I was so hungry for friends and community. And BookTube gave me that community and it helped me connect to people in my real life as well. I became the book person in my offline life and I loved that title. I can't tell you how many events I went to where people would come up to me and ask me what book I was reading. They knew I was the crazy girl with the YouTube channel and they knew that I loved books. They would ask me, what have you been reading recently? Or can you recommend me a book? And I loved having those conversations with people because they helped me skip past all of the awkward small talk and jump right into these meaningful existential conversations. Books gave me a way to connect with people that I didn't know very well on a much more meaningful level. I built a community of friends and we bonded over books together. I actually currently don't own a copy of My Heart is a Chainsaw because I keep buying them and then immediately giving them away to friends as birthday gifts or housewarming gifts or going away gifts because I just love that book so much, and that to me is a huge success. And I'll never forget calling my friend right after I finished The Silent Patient to talk about the twist. So that was then. What's changed now? Well, honestly, the books worked. Thanks to books like There's No Such Thing as an Easy Job and A Psalm for the Wild Built, I was able to settle into a 9 to 5 routine that worked for me, and that was still filled with plenty of off-hours adventure. And the Midnight Library fully rewired my brain. I understand myself so much better now, and I don't have any regrets anymore thanks to that book. And I met the love of my life, and I married him, and he's my husband. And I truly credit How to Not Die Alone with helping me to become the version of myself that was ready for that love. I've read it 3 times now, and it still hits. And right now, I'm happy, and I credit reading for so much of that. So, the books did their job. Does that mean I don't need them anymore? No, but also kind of yes. I used to read to escape and imagine a more adventurous life, and now I am living that adventurous life. I am traveling for 9 months with my husband, and we are getting to see all of the places that we have always desperately wanted to see. I'm reading less romance because now I'm spending that time going on dates with my husband. I love reading, and I'm never going to stop reading. But I'm also not going to let a reading goal get in the way of the life that I want to live. This is a bit rogue, so stay with me here. There's a Buddhist teaching about this that I want to share with you. It's that Dharma, which is Buddhist teaching, is like a raft. In this case, books and reading is our raft. And in this story, you're traveling through a jungle and you come upon a river and you need to cross the river. And so you spend a long time building a raft so that you can get across the river. And you successfully do so. But once you get to the other side of the river, the teaching is that you shouldn't drag this raft with you through this dense jungle because you don't need it anymore. So you should let it go and leave it behind with gratitude. So I'm reading less, but this channel isn't going anywhere, but I am, literally. A lot of you know that I am traveling for 9 months. I know there's been a little bit of confusion as to what is going on and why I was in Costa Rica and why I'm traveling now. Dan and I have always loved traveling and always wanted to travel, and for various reasons, we weren't able to do that for a long time. So before we choose a new city to live in together and build our lives together and settle down, we've decided that we are fortunate enough to have the means to work from abroad, and we are taking 9 months to see the world and travel to all these places that we've been wanting to go to for so long. We're living out of backpacks for the next 9 months, and I'm sitting here in the south of France a month and a half into this journey, and I can tell you that it is the most alive I have ever felt, and it is already just the most incredible experience. So, as we embark on this new journey, I've been thinking a lot about what it means for my other priorities, especially reading. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to read while I'm traveling. Here's what I landed on. I want to travel for the same reason that I love books: to connect, to understand, and to grow. I want to meet people who are different than me, and I want to connect with them, and I want to learn what makes them different from me and understand their feelings and thoughts and actions. And I want to use that in order to be a more empathetic person and to make a more positive impact in the world. So that's how I'm going to read. For every country that we visit, I'm going to read at least a nonfiction and a fiction book from that place. I have so many ideas, video ideas bouncing around in my head about what I want to read from different countries, but I'm definitely at least going to read one nonfiction book about that place and one fiction book written by an author from that place, hopefully also set in that place, while this chapter of my life is also set in that place. I'm going to use my reading to enhance my travel. I'm going to use my travel to enhance my reading, and I'm going to share it all with you. So, the 50-book goal still stands, but I am still behind, and that may not change. I might not hit that goal, and that's okay. I'll be reading at least 2 books for every country that I visit, and I'll also be continuing to read for entertainment, trying out new releases, uplifting marginalized voices, and all of the incredible things that we have built together over the past 3 years. And I'll also be traveling the world, visiting friends and family, continuing to work on my relationship, and living life. So at this point, I would love to hear what your reading has been like lately. Are you reading more than you used to? Are you reading less than you used to? Let me know in the comments, are your priorities also shifting? And if you've ever felt guilty about changing a goal, reading or otherwise, I want this to be your permission slip to change it. You're allowed to grow. You're supposed to. Books are incredible, and like all tools, you should be using the right one for the job. So reading less doesn't make you any less of a reader. It might just mean that you're living more of your life. Start with your priorities and go from there. If you're feeling stuck or disconnected from something that you love, whether that's your career or a hobby, reading or otherwise, a relationship, or even a personal goal, here's an exercise you can do. This is how I would like to invite you to think about this in your own life. Ask yourself, why did I start this thing in the first place? Why did I set this goal for myself? What was I looking for when I created this goal or started down this path? What priority about how I live my life informed that decision? Was I looking for connection, escape, growth, fun, relaxation? What was it? Then ask yourself, what's changed in your life since then? Have your priorities changed? Is that priority that you had before something that no longer is a priority for you? Are you in a new season of life? And ask yourself, is this a temporary change or a temporary problem that needs a temporary solution? Or is this the direction that my life is going in? Then once you know where you're headed, ask yourself, does that goal still fit this version of me that I am becoming? What you want to watch out for here is goals that are what other people are doing, or things that you feel like you should be doing that aren't actually true to yourself. Then ask yourself, if you let go of that goal, what changes? Go down the rabbit hole. I think a lot of times we get really scared to imagine that life, and going down that rabbit hole is going to tell you one of two things. It's either going to tell you, okay, if I drop this goal, actually I don't like where that puts me in life, and I need to find ways to motivate myself to continue to work towards that goal. Or you're going to find out, yeah, actually that's the life that I do want. Dropping this goal is going to give me the space to set a new goal that is actually what I want to do with my life. So make sure you go all the way down the rabbit hole, follow that path to the end, and see if you like the outcome. If you don't, change that goal until you do. Maybe this is a really big change. Maybe this is a big life move, or maybe it's just a small shift in your mindset. Sometimes, to go back to our Buddhism teaching, we don't want to drag that whole raft with us, but we might not need to throw it all away either. You might just need to build a different tool that gets you where you want to go now. You don't have to keep doing something just because past you did. Goals can evolve. You can change your mind. That's not failure, that's growth. So, I'm still reading. I'm still here, just with a backpack and a passport this time, and I cannot wait to take you all with me. Something I've learned from this 4-month break is that you guys and the algorithm can tell when my heart's not in it. I haven't been putting out a lot of things that I'm proud of lately, and I really feel that changing. I'm starting to edit some of these videos that are coming out, and I am so excited to take you guys along with me on this experience that has been life-changing for me. And I'm really happy that I get to marry my two loves of books and travel together. I want to share something with you. I was listening to Mikkel Jansky's podcast with her husband, and I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it yourself. But he said something that really stuck with me. He said, you don't get burnt out of doing truly creative things. You get burnt out creatively when you try to put your creativity in a box that doesn't work. When you're trying to figure out what's most profitable, when you're trying to figure out how do I make this creative thing be my job, that's where you get burnt out. And following your passion and being truly creative, if you find yourself in a space where you can do that, you never really get burnt out of doing that creative work. And that just felt so mind-blowing to me and so true to me. Like I said, I've started filming and editing these videos, and I'm really excited. I know something's right for me when it's easy for me to lose myself in. I feel inspired and excited, and I cannot wait to share this first episode with you, and it will be up next week. So if you're new here and you don't want to miss it, make sure that you subscribe. And I will see you all next week. Happy reading.
That's how I'm ending my video tomorrow.
Yeah.